Hey all, here are OS Reviews. Today we're taking a quick hands-on look at the PHOOZY Apollo Series 2. This is a phone case or pouch that was featured on Shark Tank, and aside from protecting your device, it claims to keep it cool in the summer heat because of the added layers in here that reflect sunlight and UV rays, and also a little bit warmer if you are in extreme cold conditions. In fact, they claim that these materials are also used by NASA and astronauts in space, which is a pretty interesting pitch, and does come in a few different color variants. The Series 2 that we have here compared to the OG, which can still be found for about $30 versus $35 on the second gen model, also adds in a antimicrobial layer, which claims to also eliminate any germs and bacteria on your phone when you slide it into the case. It's also supposedly sink proof, so if you accidentally drop it into a pool, it will float instead of sink. It's tested for temperatures reaching up to 120 degrees, claiming to preserve your battery by up to 4 times under those extreme conditions. So we have the silver version, which has these stripes on the side, though you can also find other colors like gold, including more discreet options in a navy camouflage color as well. That is going to look a little bit more blended with your surroundings, plus this one here called Seafoam that I think also looks quite vibrant. And the gold and silver on the Apollo 1, though, doesn't have the diamond-like stripes, so that could be a plus or minus depending on your personal preferences. It's a little bit cleaner. There's another texture here called Mako, which is almost like this granite color that I do also really like as another option. So they're pretty customizable. So if you have a standard edition smartphone like the regular base iPhone, a mini, or the Galaxy S23, Zenfone, that's going to work best with the medium casing, but if you have a Pro or a plus-sized phone, that's when you can pick the large variant. Here's also a quick peek at that antimicrobial claim. So after 15 minutes, it kills up to 85% of microbes. 2 hours will remove 99%. 24 hours in the case gets rid of virtually 99.99%. As for cleaning tips, you just have to wipe it down, and if you do drop it into a pool, you should just let it air dry. It's also worth mentioning that the material here is meant to reflect the sun. So if the ambient air is already hot, it may not make as big of a difference. Let's say your car is already in the shade, so it's not really sunlight that is further hitting on it, but rather just the enclosed space just being super hot. In those cases, it obviously won't be as effective. But if you're walking around and there is actual UV lights hitting on the device, that's where it will be more effective and reflecting it. The ambient air will be moving. So here are some other claims. They also have a, looks like tablet and laptop size sleeve. Plus they also have one for cans or soda cans, keeping things a little bit more cool using that same thermally insulated material, 4 layers. Just as another example, it does have a holder as well to make it easier to grip. It has a flexible strap, so most standard size soda cans can slide in without too many issues, and then it just wraps around the drink. Although the pouch here is the main focus and the original intent. So taking a closer look at it, it is made out of this, again, very shiny material on the silver and gold editions. There's just a small logo at the bottom there, and then that strap, which is made out of metal. It is a universal pouch, as long as you pick the large or medium versions, can easily fit in any even phablets up to 7 inches without too many issues. So we have a Pixel 7 here with a 6.3-inch display just to serve as an example. And in terms of the top, it's just Velcro that you can pull apart and will otherwise remain fully locked when the phone is in there. It won't drop out. Despite having 4 layers, it's not too heavy either. It actually feels quite light. And in terms of the texture, it's actually a little bit on the grippy side. It kind of reminds me of one of those thermal or emergency blankets that you see in survival kits, where if you're lost in a forest, you just wrap that tinfoil around you to stay warm. I think it's a very similar premise here, but just slightly more padded and offering a little bit more of rigidity. And the inside here is just coated in a layer of soft touch material. It's a microfiber texture, slightly cleaning the phone. Just make sure that you slide it in and remove it by touching the bottom section of the case here. The section that is closer to the keyring has a more sharp Velcro texture, so you don't want to necessarily scrape or scratch your device, but the other side here is a more soft material, at least on the lip. The inside, though, is completely soft once you pop it in there, and remains relatively quick to release as well as pop out the phone again. And doing a little bit of an impact test, I'm going to actually drop this case from about 3 feet, and you can hear that the padding here is definitely helping it. In fact, removing the device, we don't have any scratches nor any cracks. Similarly, let's also test out the sink-proof claims. And going ahead and popping this into the water, we can confirm that indeed it floats even though our phone is on the inside, making it easier to grab if it does drop into a pool. With that being said, this is not claimed to be an airtight or a waterproof case, only that it floats. I make that distinction because there are some quote-unquote waterproof cases which will seal it into something like a plastic bag, and the inside won't even get moist or wet. But if your phone doesn't have any waterproof rating, well, first of all, you should make sure that it completely dries before attempting to turn it on, but in the best case scenario, your device will already have some type of IP rating, making it resistant to moisture and water. When it comes to claims of heat and cold, what I can say is in the summer heat, after taking this phone out and putting it into the case, it was noticeably cooler when being removed from the case versus if I just had it into my pocket. Granted, my body heat from the pocket is likely also contributing to a little bit of that buildup. Still, it seemed to do a reasonable job, and it meant I could use the phone for a little bit longer without it heating up from the get-go. When it comes to the cold part, I also did try putting this into a fridge and then removing it, as a simulation is again being held using a Velcro strap, so it's not entirely airtight when it comes to that seal. So if you leave it in there long enough and you're in a super cold condition, the cold will still creep in eventually. But at the very least, the wrap on the exterior part is trying to preserve some of that temperature, not dropping too drastically. Surviving the extreme heat might be the most practical use case if you want to just add a little bit more of extra protection to your tech and gadgets. So you can learn more details if interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our quick video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been just a quick hands-on look at the PHOOZY Apollo series protective smartphone cases.